Today we're going to be looking at the Mario plushes made by the company Acme, which were some of the first ever Mario plushes ever made by any company. These plushes were made between in the years 1986 and 1990. So with that said, welcome to a look at the Acme Mario plushes. Let's start off with the first plush, which is Mario. Now, one thing to note about all these plushes is that they all came in different sizes because they were carnival prizes. So you could go between being like 10 inches tall to being over 4 feet tall. Which means technically if you really wanted a 4 feet tall Mario plush, you could actually get it because there are some for sale on eBay right now. But yeah, these plushes were released in the year 1986 and they were the first ever American released Mario plushes. As yes, there were some other Mario plushes that came before this, but those were all in Japan, so this was basically the first ever released Mario plush in America. And well, unsurprisingly, this plush really isn't that good at all. And well, there's really no surprise these Mario plushes don't really look that good because, well, they were made in 1986 before Mario merchandise was really that well made. And at that time, a lot of people didn't know how to design Mario to look correctly, so they were just kind of making up designs as they went. Because now companies like Sine that make plushes know the exact design of Mario and how he's supposed to look, but back then they didn't really know how Mario was supposed to look, so they just tried to make plushes look as best as they could. So yeah, that's why these plushes just look so strange. But yeah, now for the details on the Mario plush. Overall, it doesn't really hold up that well over the years. And as you can tell, it's made out of this really fuzzy material, which isn't the best material to make Mario plushes out of because, well, they overall look really weird. And in my opinion, it just doesn't look that good to have a really fuzzy Mario plush. But yeah, the emblem on the hat is like an iron-on material and it looks really weird because it's like a really detailed M on the logo, which isn't how it's actually supposed to be. And his eyes are made out of a plastic material and are only glued on so they could fall off over the years and get damaged. Also, his hat seems to be a little small for his head because it doesn't really cover up his full head like it's supposed to. But by far the worst part about this plush are the overalls because, well, the strings on the overalls are made out of this really small material that could get easily ripped. And these little fabric strips on the overalls could easily get broken over the years because they're made out of a really delicate material. Also, the buttons are made out of a plastic material, so these could also get damaged over the years. Also, the shoes on this plush are pretty weird because they're not really how Mario shoes are supposed to look and they're just fully black without even any soles on them. And a problem that I noticed on the bigger Mario plushes, like the 4 feet tall one, is that his eyes are really small on it. Because as you can tell by this picture of the 4 feet tall version, his eyes are just really small and don't really fit on his face that well. But yeah, it's not really that much of a surprise that this Mario plush looks off model because it is one of the first ever ones ever made. And now let's go on to the next plush in the set, which is Luigi. Now, fun fact about this plush, this was the first ever Luigi plush ever made by any company. So yeah, before this plush came out, there was never another Luigi plush ever made. And just like Mario, he could go as small as like 10 inches tall to being up to 4 feet tall. And just like the 4 feet tall Mario plush, the eyes could get really small on the bigger sizes of the Luigi plush, so it could overall look really weird. But yeah, as you'll notice by looking at this Luigi plush, it basically uses the exact same pattern as the Mario plush, just with the necessary details changed. Because since these plushes were like mass produced for carnivals, they didn't really bother making a different pattern for Luigi because, well, it would be a lot easier to produce if they used the same pattern. But yeah, just like the Mario plushes emblem, the L on the hat is really detailed for some reason, even though it's not supposed to be like that. And the eyes are changed on this plush from a blue color to a green color, and they could easily get chipped and damaged because they're made out of plastic. And this plush is basically fine except for that the overalls could easily break just like Mario's because they're made out of the same exact material, and also the buttons are a plastic material so they could once again fall off and get chipped and damaged. Also, the shoes are really lacking details on them and don't have any soles or any other details that are meant to be on these plushes. But yeah, it's overall pretty cool that this plush was the first ever Luigi plush ever made though. So yeah, even though this Luigi plush doesn't really look that good, it's still pretty cool and pretty unique that it was the first ever Luigi plush ever made. And now let's move on to the final plush that Acme made for the Mario series, being the Raccoon Mario. Now this plush could go by two different names, either being the Tanuki or the Raccoon Mario, but I'm just going to call it the Raccoon Mario because it doesn't have the full Tanuki suit on it. And this plush was actually released a little later than the others, this one being released 4 years later in the year 1990. And it overall has some improvements from the last Mario plushes that Acme had made. And this plush could also come in tons of sizes spanning from like 10 inches tall to like a few feet tall, not as big as the original plushes though. This plush is also significantly rarer than the others because this one actually sells for a lot of money, such as the others actually sell for a lot less. But yeah, this Mario plush has a few improvements on it, so we're going to start off with looking at the face of the Mario plush. Now the hat looks a lot more detailed, but for some reason does have this plastic thing on the top of the cap, which isn't actually how it's supposed to be. But yeah, the emblem looks a lot better and is actually how it's supposed to be instead of being a really detailed one like on the original Acme Mario plush. And this plush has plastic eyes and they look a lot better than the original, and they're actually looking straight instead of just looking to the side like the other Acme Mario plush. Also, the mouth got a few more details on it because instead of being stitched on as a plastic material, it also has teeth instead of just being an empty mouth. And it also has ears on the hat because well, it's supposed to be a raccoon Mario, so it obviously has to have ears. And on the gloves, they added these details on him to make it look like so he has fingers, which is a really nice detail that they added that wasn't on the original plushes. Also, the overalls are significantly better than the others because, well, they are made out of this really cheap string material, so they can't really break that easily, but the buttons could still fall off because they're made out of a plastic material. And the shoes have been made so they have the correct details on them, so they actually look like how they're supposed to, but they're still missing the soles on them. And the raccoon tail is a big piece of plush material hanging off the side of the Mario plush, which overall looks pretty good actually. And it uses the correct colors on it, but it could get understuffed over the years. I noticed that could get damaged pretty easily over the years because it's only stitched onto the back of the Mario plush, so it could get damaged pretty easily. But yeah, to my knowledge, this was actually the first ever Mario power-up plush, which is another pretty cool thing about Acme's Mario plushes because, well, they not only made the first ever Luigi plush, they also made the first ever Mario power-up plush, which is overall pretty cool. But yeah, overall, even though these plushes don't really look that good in terms of detail, they're still really cool, especially for their time that they were made in. And if you could find these plushes on eBay and are willing to spend an amount of money to get them, then I would definitely recommend getting it because, well, they are a pretty cool piece of history in Mario plushes. But yeah, out of these three plushes, which are your favorite? Mine's probably the Raccoon Mario, but comment down below yours, and yeah, have a great day.